Good morning, team. Today is April the 14th, April the 17th, I'm sorry, 3:02 a.m. in the morning. The European session just got started. Um, we're going to go back to Monday just to get a recap of what's been happening in the markets and going to go forward throughout the rest of the week. So as you can see, Monday had a few Tier 1 economic data that was kind of important, and we just basically watched it, see how the market react, and look forward to this week's events. So as we look through Monday, we had the core retail sales that came in line. See the dollar kind of reacted, nothing sustained. We still have geopolitical events happening. Trump still continues to tweet and make his comments. But we're going to try to, pay attention to geopolitical events, but also, still focus on the economic Tier 1 data that comes out. So as we move forward into this past Asian session, we had the Aussie monetary policy. In my view, it was stuff that they said in the last monetary policy meeting minutes. But in my view, I think this was slightly hawkish, slightly upbeat. They mentioned that there was all in agreement in terms of the board members, as far as not, raising rates. But they all agreed that the next move from the RBA would be an increase in interest rates. So that's a positive. They still, they're still having their language regarding, a stronger Aussie could hurt the economy. That's stuff that they've been saying for weeks, if not months now. They did hint that, growth and inflation will be gradually, over time, ticking up. So overall, the meeting minutes was not, it's not bad. It was more, in my opinion, neutral to slightly hawkish. So, we're looking to see how the Australian dollar is going to trade into this particular weekend. So as we're looking right now, we're seeing the market in somewhat a positive risk tone. Taking a look at Euro Aussie, heading back south. Pound New Zealand is actually a currency pair that I'm looking at. That's probably something if we get an inline or a beat on the average hourly earnings. I tend to get in. I was more so looking for a pullback. I don't think I got the pullback I was looking for. I was hoping for a pullback to at least 50%, at least 95.05. So we'll see if we get a pullback before the actual event. Probably in another hour and a half. I think it's scheduled to come out 4:30 in the morning. So expected to be a 3.0 forecast. Previous was 2.8. So if we get in line, this is year over year. If we get in line or 3.1, that would be positive pound. And that should keep the pound supported and could potentially push the pound pairs. Pound yen. Pound could be strong across the board. I like also euro pound short. I like that pair as well. So we could see some opportunities throughout this week. In particular, the pound and Canadian dollar. Those are the two main currencies I'm kind of keeping an eye on this week. So as we move to, let's go back to Monday night. China GDP came out in line. Not a surprise there. Kind of had a miss on industrial production year over year. So we had a mixed picture right here for the Chinese data, which kind of had a mixed picture during the Asian session. That's why we didn't potentially see Aussie just take off during the Asian session, because we had neutral to slightly hawkish, in my opinion. Aussie monetary policy meeting minutes, but then we also had, China growth came out and it was kind of mixed. So that probably had the Asian session, mixed views, and that's why we saw, sideways trading during the Asian session. So as we open up for the European session, it opened up slightly positive. So we'll see if that positivity picks up. So moving forward, as I said before, we're looking at GDP. We're looking at pound average hourly earnings. So we're looking at a 3.0. If we get a 2.8 or below on the downside, that would be negative for the pound. We'll probably see the pound soften a bit, depending on how far it deviates from expectations, and that's kind of going to give us an idea of which way to trade the pound. I'd rather beat in line or a beat. I'd rather buy the pound and actually try to sell the pound. It's just my view, this particular moment. As we go down, we're looking at building permits. That's something I'm looking to trade. As we go, GDT. I think for the New Zealand, as you can see, it has been weakening. That would be my actual go-to currency in terms of looking to pair with a strong currency. It will be the New Zealand currency. We have, I think, GDT and I think inflation this week. GDT has been declining, which is negative for the actual for New Zealand. So I would probably want to see a miss here from previous, preferably a deviation to help support any trade that I do get in at this particular time. If it's the pound, then it will be pound New Zealand. Expecting pound New Zealand to at least push up in the coming days to at least around 97 to 98. We saw we could probably see a potential push to 98. That would be at least a 200 and something pip move from where current price is at the moment. So, but we would definitely need a beat on this particular pair to see further upside, and the pound will need to see the pound comes in line or preferably 3.1 or higher. As you can see right here, the pullback happened. Obviously, we missed it. It's on a daily chart. So this will be the pullback right here, right on the 50, 86.20. We're at 95.50 at the moment. So the pound is starting to take off. As you can see, I prefer a pullback to at least the 95.05. Hopefully, we'll potentially get a pullback before the actual event, or if we get a beat, then we'll actually just go long pound New Zealand. It's just something I'm looking at if we get a positive print out of the pound. Yeah, let's go higher here. So 97, like I mentioned, psychological level, that looks like it's a pretty good take profit if we were to get a positive average hourly earnings beat. Average earnings. All right, so moving on to Wednesday. There we go again. We have CPI year over year. Obviously, if we get a positive read, would also accelerate the pound, as inflation is very important. Um, Inflation, I think around 3-4 months ago, was all the way up to 3%, I believe. February, 3%, January, 3%, December, 3.1. So it has been trending downward. So that's just something we definitely need to keep an eye on. If we see, uptick, then that will be supportive. If we see a miss, then that could potentially soften the pound a bit. So that's something we need to pay attention to. The main event for me would be this event right here, 10 o'clock on Wednesday, as we have the Bank of Canada monetary policy event. So off late we have been seeing CAD strengthen a bit, starting a few weeks back. Last week was we had on Monday we had the Bank of Canada business survey, which was positive. We saw the CAD rallied. We saw the oil market taking off as well, which is supportive of the CAD. We know that this is a significant level that it broke last week, and we're paying attention to if price stays above, as you can see right here. I mean, it's not much more resistance. It's right on the 50. So if we stay above this 66.84 level, clear we could see another move to potentially 76.58. That will probably be the next stop. If we get a push above this 50% pivot here, so the next resistance levels will be the 61. So that's something I'm definitely keeping an eye on to see how the oil market plays out. I know the Canadian currency is very big on oil, so if oil continues to, trend higher, then that would be supportive of the CAD, supportive of the Bank of Canada, and also it's been positive talks out of NAFTA. So, in my opinion, everything been positive for the CAD. But however, the Bank of Canada, they could have their own agenda and throw some kind of uncertainty in there with potential trade wars. Still kind of looming. It's not necessarily at high alert, but it's still looming in the background. So if we have no concerns out of this event, we have the report more so upbeat, then we could definitely see CAD strengthening. CAD New Zealand could be a trade. CAD Yen, CAD Swiss could be a trade, depending on market sentiment. If we have a positive market sentiment, then we could potentially look to trade those particular pairs I just mentioned. So we'll have to see how it goes around 10 on Wednesday, just to get a feel. As I mentioned, we had New Zealand CPI. CPI has been not so impressive, in the near term for the New Zealand currency economy. So, that's something we definitely keep an eye on. If we get a miss, I would definitely put some pressure on New Zealand, which would also help, our trade if we, get a buy pound New Zealand or sell New Zealand CAD trade. So, banking on negative New Zealand data this week, and that's kind of how I tend to trade. I trade ahead. What's next? And so we'll see how that actual data comes out, and we'll see how all that plays out. So again, this employment change, Australian labor market data, it has a tendency to deviate a lot at times. So this is something that we could probably see, spark the Aussie, whether it's, a big deviation to the upside, we're going to see Aussie kind of, take off. if we get a big miss to the downside, then we could definitely see the Australian dollar soften a bit. So it's definitely a tradable event if in line with our view. Thursday, again, another pound tier one data that's important. Retail sales also is a part of GDP, which is growth. So you can see where it missed. We came out negative last print. So this is definitely something that could, potentially, weaken the pound if it, deviates from its forecast, deeper into the negative. Obviously, if we get a positive, then definitely that would be supportive of the pound and could help our trade if we're in the pound New Zealand trade beforehand. Moving forward, nothing here, nothing. A bunch of Fed speakers. Definitely need to keep an eye on those. And Friday we have CPI out of Canada. Right now we're showing the previous. Haven't seen a forecast, so we'll try to wait till we get closer to see if they're going to have, some kind of forecast for the Canadian CPI. All right, so as of right now, no, we don't. So that would be the only currency I'm paying attention to on a Friday, unless we have some geopolitical event. Other than that, that's kind of what we're looking at for the week. Before every actual event, that's important. I'll go over what we're looking at, how we're going to approach it, and what pairs we're going to pair it with if we get a positive or a negative, or it may just, be a non-event. So trades that I'm looking at as of now, I'm looking at, to short, possibly euro, pound. I would prefer pound New Zealand. It's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on. As you can see, probably kind of waiting on this data to, give us a catalyst to push it, obviously, to the next level. So that's something we're definitely waiting on. As you can see, is at its highs. It's a 1 hour chart. It's above, it's around the 70 RSI. MACD clearly above. So, that's just definitely something that we're keeping an eye on to see if we get a little push higher. As I said, in line, could probably push us up. 3.1 will be much better. So that's just something that we're definitely keeping an eye on. The Canadian currency, again, New Zealand CAD, it's another currency I'm looking at. Potentially trade if we get a positive, a beat BOC on Wednesday. We're looking for New Zealand to miss. We're looking for New Zealand to miss expectations. If I were looking to go long, I'm just trying to see where would that 50 to 61% be. So 92, it's New Zealand CAD, 92. Next stock would be 91. Okay. So yeah, so we'll see how these how these play out. The next up that we have, on our economic calendar is this right here. So I'll go ahead and I'll post this. This is important. This is important. Obviously, we need to keep an eye on these speeches that's happening. no monetary policies mentioned, then you know, probably won't get no kind of movements. But we still got to keep an eye on any geopolitical events that comes out of the Euro or the European session or the New York session. It's always in the background. All right. Well, if you have any questions, feel free, and I will post this as soon as it's downloaded. All right. See you guys. Happy trading. Bye.